Hi guys. So lately I have been working on, writing some music for instrumental cues for like TV and movies and stuff like that. And there was a listing came along for a reggae track. I actually produced a couple reggae tracks. Yeah, reggae, who would have thought? The secret's out, I love reggae. Been listening to for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years now? 5? What year is it? 5 years. My little brother got me into it. Anyway, been working on music, lots of different music. Reggae has been some of it, again, for instrumental cue. This particular track I got some feedback on, and it was positive. It was in regards to my drum mix and kind of how I made the drums sound. The overall mix kind of got good remarks, but the drums in particular were highlighted. So I'm gonna go over what I did, because I did do a few things to make these drums kind of sound a little more realistic, right? Because I'm in a situation where I don't have a real session drummer. I don't have a drum set mic'd up downstairs or anything. I have to rely on virtual instruments in some instances, and this is one of them. So I'm using a Easy Drummer kit because why not? I'm using a modern reggae kit from Easy Drummer. Sounds great, right? Out of the box. I have done a few things, and most of it is a little bit of post-processing for the kit, but you're gonna see some plugins and stuff on there that are turned off, and different filters and effects just for different parts of the song. Stuff's not going the entire time. So let's just listen to some of the track. I'll dive into the few things that I did specifically to get this drum track sounding the way it did. So let's give her a listen. Cool. All right. So what the heck did I do? Well, other than starting with an incredibly great sounding source, I specifically love how the hi-hat sound, and I took a lot of time to program the hi-hats here. So let's take a look at the programming. And one thing you're going to notice is none of this stuff is on the grid. Like it's pretty close, but nothing is dead on the grid. There might be a few things, especially the kick. Look how far back the kick is in this instance. I went in, first thing I do in a situation like this, and when you're working with pitching songs for like TV and film and stuff like that, and you're working on instrumental cues, you know, they gotta sound, you gotta present something that's finished. I heard something interesting this past weekend at a conference, and that's like the day of demos is kind of gone, at least in this kind of regard, in this space that find myself trying to be successful in, is like, you got to just present a finished product. And that's why I'm taking extra time for stuff like this. So the first thing I do is whether or not I grab a beat that's already kind of made because Superior Drummer is good for grooves. And I did for, I'm not a drummer. I love drums. I study drums. When I program, I'm thinking about how a real human drummer would be playing. And oftentimes I'll ask questions of real drummers in certain instances. But so what I'll do is if I need a groove, you know, they got grooves here. So that's a different type of groove. But what I'll do is I get my groove programmed out, and you can see a few things. First of all, if I bring up the velocity, nothing is slammed, you know, nothing is at 127. Everything has some nuance. If I highlight the cymbal work, it's all over the place, and you got light hits in between heavy hits, trying to give it some real dynamics and make it sound like a real drummer. If we were to solo the hi-hat, let's see what that would sound like real quick. So there's dynamics there, right? Sounds like there's somebody playing. That's what we want. The other thing I do is once I get oftentimes when I'm programming, it's just easier to program to the grid. Everything is smack right on the lines, and it sounds very robotic. You can do that if you want. If that's the style, if that's what you're going for, cool, but it's not what I'm going for here. So what I do is once I get everything programmed and it's all lined up on the grid, and oftentimes I will quantize when I'm demoing and composing. I don't know why. It's just easier that way. Mainly to cut and paste, like instead of hand typing all of these cymbal hits in, you know, I paste a string in and then I go in and adjust all the velocities. It takes a while, but that's the way I do it. So what I do is I highlight everything, I go up here, and there's this Humanize button. And Humanize, it basically, it gives you control over the velocity range of a particular piece of MIDI information. So I have all these MIDI notes highlighted, and what I'm going to do with Humanize is I'm going to adjust the velocity. So it's going to range from -7% to +7% of the velocity that it's at. So if it's at 50, it's going to randomly generate a velocity between, you know, 43 and 57 if the MIDI note is at 50 for the velocity. I hope that makes sense. And the same thing, we're adjusting the note start range. So where the note is programmed to start, if it's on a grid line, we're looking at adjusting it clicks, like so 4 clicks before up to 4 clicks behind. So you're giving it some flow. So it's not going to be right on the grid, if that makes sense. And this is pretty low. I mean, you can adjust this a little bit more. So if I hit OK, and if you watch the MIDI notes on here, and I'll try and zoom in a little bit more. I can't. So let's zoom in a little bit more. Okay, we'll go to Humanize. And then if I hit OK, you're going to watch the notes adjust and move around a little bit, just a little bit within the parameters that we set. And see, you could definitely tell down below on the velocity. So if I hit undo, you can see how stuff moves around. We'll go Humanize. I'll do it again. And now it made another set of random adjustments. And I'll do this twice or 3 times, just so it kind of shuffles everything around in random order. And what you do is you get, you know, stuff that isn't on the grid, and it gives it a very human type of feel. Is that an extra kick, or is it supposed to be there? Yeah, okay. I just made those notes so small. Another thing, so that's something I do on everything that I produce is give it a very as loose of a feel as you can get away with. Now with this, I also kind of, I'm gonna undo that. Now this, what I also did is I highlighted all the kicks and I moved them. So things were kind of closer to the grid. I moved this stuff, all of them. I might have even highlighted, sometimes so I highlighted all the kicks in this instance and I moved everything back just a touch. Now, does it sound out of time? No, but there's like a little bit of a drag, right? It's just kind of like, it's a groove. It's a groove. So I did that and I took the time to really get the MIDI sounding as human as possible, given that we're not dealing with a human playing these drums. I mean, a human drummer played the drums and recorded all the velocities, but you get what I'm saying. These are programmed, this is programmed. There's not somebody down there articulating those hi-hats. That's what we got to do. We got to make it sound as good as possible. That's a huge thing. I think that right there can really kind of improve some of your productions. And the other thing I did is, man, I've been leaning on putting drums and guitars and really any instrumentation that I can into a room or a space. Now, I find myself in a situation where I'm able to have access to Universal Audio plugins, subscriptions and everything. We don't need to get into that. If you have them, cool, you can use this. You can really use any reverb plugin. You just want a good sounding kind of drum room, right? So what do I have here? I have Universal Audio's Sound City Studios, and I have basically it's a drum room reverb, and I have my drums going to this room. So if I solo my drums, that's just the room. Now, there's already obviously room on the kit, and there's ambience with the ambient mics and the overhead mics, but this puts it in a very particular kind of drum space that I feel kind of gives it a little more dimension, and it really does something to kind of make it sound a little more cohesive, right? And the low end, I feel, gets much improved when you're adding in a room. Now, it can get a little wily, so sometimes you put a EQ plugin after this and roll off some of the low end, but I didn't necessarily have to do any of that. It all kind of worked right in this mix. Now I'll play a little bit and I'll turn off the room and hopefully you can hear a difference. Now you got to be using something. If you're listening on your phone, this is pointless. I've said this before. I'll play a little bit of the drums and then I'll turn the room off and hopefully you can hear the difference. Make sure you're listening to something worth a damn. If you're listening on phones, that's pointless. See, it's right up there. I'll bring the room back in. To me, like I said, it really gives some dimension. It makes the drum kit sound cohesive, a little less sample based, if that makes sense. So we're kind of approaching the sounds of as close to a naturally recorded kit as possible. That's what we're doing here. And to me, adding the drum room reverb to the kit in conjunction with the MIDI moves that we made, I think kind of got me to the place where this drum kit sounds really kind of organic. Now there's a part with some hand drums right here. layer that with the drums. Look at that, Nick. You left, oh, okay, so not everything's on the grid. Some of these ended up, okay, no. I thought I had gone against my own advice and left everything on the grid. But you can see all the dynamics and the velocity for these hand drums. And the hand drums are native instrument, Cuba. And I did the same thing. I added, so let's do these one by one. I'll play these on their own. I'll turn them up just a tad. And I added in a little bit of echo here. And if we look at that, this is going to a bus. It's the Galaxy Tape Echo, synonymous with reggae and dub, among other genres. I'm just suggesting that this is used widely. It's subtle, it's low. I don't have a ton of the echo. And then I'm running into kind of the same principle. I'm just using a different room reverb. In this case, I'm using the IK Multimedia T-Rax Sunset Sound, a different famous recording studio. And you're able to choose from a bunch of different rooms. And I added this room to the hand drums. So I'll play it without and then I'll add it in. Beautiful. I also threw it in the same room as the drums. So I'll turn off the other room, add this in, and I kind of layered them together. So it's probably a little much, but we're talking in the context of the mix, right? Oh, and one last mention. I've been using this Sketch cassette plugin to add some like tape vibe to I've been putting it on so many tracks, guitars, these hand drums, regular drums. I mean, I'll play it with and without, and you can kind of hear what it's doing. And there's just so many flavors that you can mess around with inside of this plugin. And we'll turn everything off. I have the cassette plugin is off, so we'll just hear how that sounds. So it takes some of that really pristine shine off of these samples. It kind of rolls off I always think tape kind of like, you have the nice sparkly high end and it just blunts some of the real harsh stuff. That's happening. Also, this tape plugin compresses. There's some tape compression happening and it's pleasing. It just sounds good. So this thing is sick. And that's the hand drums with the regular drums. And then I did a few ear candy things here, like in this break. This part. So you can see I had it here. So we'll mute this, unmute that. So that's the break. And I bounced it, put a filter on it. So I have a filter kind of automated. Just ear candy, man. You really want to, in between the transitions of your different parts, and this isn't structured like a particular song, but we're not going to get into that. Now I'll turn it off. It's just candy, man. Sounds good. Buried that in a bunch of room reverb too. It's way back there in the mix. It sounds awesome. It's a good little transitional thing. So I did that. We did some more here. We've got a few plugins on here. A lot more tape, lots of tape. Let's turn off all this tape stuff. And then I added in, this is Tape Mellowfy by, who the hell? Oh, the name's right there, Arturia. This is a good tape plugin as well. I find it to be a little heavy-handed. Obviously you can control a lot of this, and sometimes you can see I have a lot of flutter, a lot of warble, added some drive and noise. I turn them. You can even turn the mechanics of the tape machine up and down, but I have this, and then I have that that sketch cassette also, just for a little added saturation. Yeah, see, I think it's the compression that I really love in this plugin. And then I have it getting sent to any number of plates or reverbs or rooms. So I turn all those off. That's boring. I was experimenting with a couple different versions of this Galaxy Echo, or the Galaxy Echo is what the Universal Audio calls it. This is the Slate version, so I added this. Beautiful echo. I had the guitar room on. Subtle, can't hear much of it because that echo's so predominant. And then there's a little bit of plate on here. Again, that's subtle as well. And then all together, gives it that dub vibe. A little something, something here. So that's it. That's what I did for this track. To get a good organic sounding natural drum sound with, fake drums, fake drummer. So that's what I've been working on. It's not metal stuff, sorry guys, but it's production stuff. And I figured some people could get some use out of that. So hope you dig it. Hope you're doing well. Miss y'all. Take care of yourself. Be useful to someone. We'll see you in the next one. Out of practice. How was it? We'll see. We'll see how it was. I haven't done that in a while. Peace.